Is my hair good?
It's great.
It's fine. All right, I'm recording. When you're ready, boss.
All right. So I'll do a 3, 2, 1 action. 3, 2, 1, action. Hey, Sherif, what's the most annoying way someone from another team has communicated with you?
Probably when someone emails me a spreadsheet and you have to scroll through a gigantic one and find the project I care about for a project status update. I'm in row 154, but then it ends up being cut off by that silly column width thing. And yeah, that's frustrating.
Yeah, that's kind of awkward. I used to be that program manager who would send you that. Oops. Though, to be honest with you, I feel your pain, but I prefer that over a status meeting that has like 15 people invited and no agenda. That totally could have been an email.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, they're painful. But on the flip side, you do get those emails that are like 10 pages long, which then you're like, well, actually it just could have been something like a tweet or something much shorter.
Yeah, true. So I do have 722 unread emails in my inbox right now. So I'm just going to declare email bankruptcy from now on.
Wait, I got something worse. Those, okay, these are quite painful because I've been through a lot of them in my life. You go into a meeting room and there's a presentation where you sit through, but it's really the purpose of the meeting is just for one person to stay updated, and you're waiting for your turn to present and no one else cares about any other slide except their own slide. Those are quite painful meetings.
Are you saying you don't like hearing me talk? Because I love hearing me talk.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Okay, hopefully this isn't one of those presentations. But anyway, chit chat over. I feel like we've wasted everybody's time enough. Let's cut to the chase. The problem that Sherif and I care about, and we hope you care about too, otherwise you might be in the wrong place, is that delivering and receiving updates across teams is beyond annoying. It's painful. This whole system of team-to-team communication, it's broken. Kind of like Sherif's cutting shears must be for him to have let his hair get that out of control, right? Anyway, it was broken long before COVID though. And what I'm talking about is team-to-team comms, not just Sherif's hairdo. And so that's forced us all to rethink a solution. And COVID's actually been good for us because it's accelerated the adoption of our new solution that we're so excited to tell you about. Atlassian has been working on this solution for team-to-team comms for over 5 years now, which kind of makes us sound like we've been dragging our feet, but really it's just that hard of a problem to solve. Sherif and I have actually been trying to solve this problem from very different points of view. First apart, and now as part of the Team Central team. Me from the ways of working angle, and Sherif doing what he does best, productizing a solution. Today, we're super excited to share with you how our two different points of view came together to create a simple solution that has helped teams at Atlassian, Canva, and one of the world's top management consulting firms who we promised we wouldn't mention by name, how it's helped all of these teams communicate and connect as frictionlessly as modern work demands. Yeah, that's kind of a mouthful though. Sherif, do you even know what as frictionlessly as modern work demand means?
I can't spell half the words there, Mary, but let's just keep going along. Your hairdo jokes are great. Let's just stick with those.
All right, deal. I know it sounds like a little bit of marketing mumbo jumbo, and most of us are more practical people. So to put it plainly, you guys all know we're an engineering company, and we've kind of been trying all the engineering ways to solve this problem. So we've tried chatbots to automate the writing and distribution of updates across teams, which honestly was equally as annoying. And the thing is, chat's temporal. So we could never even get the data out of the chat threads to track trends or read later, which means every single update lacks pretty important context. Of course, also being the makers of Jira and Confluence, we've also hacked together some ugly and some pretty fancy solutions in our own tools. The first Jira-minded solution we hacked together was what we now call the defunct board of boards. It was a status tracker, and the impetus came from some new group leader who claimed they wanted end-to-end traceability across all the team's projects. So we consolidated their teams of teams projects onto this mega board. The problem with this was that it wasn't an elegant solution, but the thing is, would be elegant if every team was using Jira similarly and religiously. And even as the makers of Jira, we don't believe Jira is the right solution for every team's workflow. So we went even more meta, and we created a project to track projects. As confusing as that sounds, it's the solution we often hear most of our existing Jira customers try. It's super logical, right? The problem is it ends up lacking the extensibility required to get teams across varying functions to adopt this common solution. Because I mentioned on the previous slide, and honestly, I'll say it over and over again, you can quote me, we do not believe every team should be forced to use Jira to manage their work. So we tried a solution we thought would have more widespread appeal, the weekly weather report in Confluence. To be honest with you, I personally, because I was a former program manager, was the person responsible for nagging people to update this. Then I had to consolidate it and then distribute it weekly. It was 90 minutes of my time every week that I regretfully will never get back. So initially the weather report icons were cutesy enough. They kept everyone engaged because, it'd be like, ooh, we're cloudy with a chance of rain, or, oh, we're sunny, things are going well. But the real problem was that as this page grew, it became so long to read. And trust me, nobody was reading it. I tracked page analytics. So the ritual slowly died off, praise be. The reality is all of these were just hacks. And we were just buying ourselves 6 months more before the process ended up breaking again. We heard the same scalability challenges when we went outside our four walls and started talking to leadership at Shopify and the world's largest streaming platform, who was also dealing with similar challenges. So here we are, 2021, and we finally found a solution that has scaled with us from 1,000 to 7,000 employees, and it hasn't broken. A key turning point for us, though, was when we realized that we couldn't solve the problem by getting every team on the same work management tool. In fact, a tool alone was not going to solve the problem. Better communication was. And the foundation of healthy communication has nothing to do with the tool and everything to do with a shared vocabulary. You see, the solution is human because the problem is human. But don't worry, there's still room for automation, just not the kind you're probably thinking of. So in my opinion, I've been in this industry for a while, and enterprise software, we tend to overpromise on automation as a solution. So when you hear status reporting, we all think, yeah, just synthesize all my burn down charts into one and automate a list of everything that we got done last week. Send that to my stakeholder and we're done. Hands-free and touchless, the Alexa of status reporting. But is that what stakeholders really want? Is that helpful communication? The thing is, it's the knee-jerk reaction. So I don't blame any of us for wanting that, though I do blame enterprise software vendors for promising that. It's what many of our early access customers asked us for. They came to us with this idyllic vision of automated reports created through Jira data, giving end-to-end visibility into work, even at the task level. The thing is, though, automated reports are not useful. This is a quote from the same customer in a conversation just 10 minutes later, when we realized that estimates on scope are actually arbitrary. And the reality is stakeholders don't really care about a list of stats. They really want to know how the project is going and why. Like, what does being 75% done really mean? Is the last 25% going to be the hardest and longest? Or is it smooth sailing from here? These are important questions to answer. So like I said, the problem isn't something an engineer can hack. The problem is that people are not inherently motivated to connect and communicate across teams. Our previous solutions were only exacerbating the humanness of the problem when we tried to take teams' free will away by forcing them to all use the same tool. You see, easing connection across teams will not happen by automating reports, and it will not happen by forcing every team to use the same project management tool. It happens, and trust me, we've seen it internally with dozens of customer teams, by automating our brains. Or said another way, effective cross-team communication requires building human habits, not automating progress reports. Lucky for us, we as humans are built for automation. Okay, but before I let Sherif dazzle you with our solution, which is I know the reason you're all here, I want to do a quick exercise with everyone. So what was the last habit you created for yourself? Sherif, have you had a new habit recently?
During this work from home pandemic, I have realized, I mean, I already knew this, my dad doesn't live far from me. And so I've been trying to build a habit of having weekly lunches with him, which is something I could not do before, and I'm absolutely enjoying right now.
Well, that sounds more delightful than my habit. Mine was intermittent fasting. So for me, I broke my foot. So I was like, okay, I gotta like manage my health somehow. So I don't know, intermittent fasting seems to be trendy. So maybe some of you have tried it. It's so rough for the first week. I mean, like headaches, super cranky, and many moments where I caved. Eventually though, it became automatic. I started this 12 weeks ago. And honestly, it took no machine learning. It just takes habit building, which is our brain's very own form of automation. I know I'm nerding out here, but just give me a second. So check out this graph. I stole it from one of my favorite books, which is called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Highly recommend it. So the y-axis is brain activity, which is like how hard you're working. And the x-axis is time. So what happens is that first few days of intermittent fasting, those were the left-hand side of this graph. Woof. It took a lot of willpower, and I really missed my morning peanut butter toast. Or if I were in Australia, Vegemite, right? Sherif, do you even eat peanut butter?
I had Vegemite on toast this morning, and it was delicious.
So you're not intermittent fasting, are you?
Not at all.
Okay, but eventually it becomes easier. I think even Sherif could do it if he wanted to. Because what happens is you get consistent and your body starts being able to predict when it's going to get food or not. Science, am I right? This is human automation built into your individual operating system, and it's the secret to your frictionless connection across teams. Shared habits, or as we at Atlassian like to call them, operating rhythms. So that same rhythm we applied to build new habits as individuals is scalable to your teams and your team of teams. And the benefits, they're 10x too. So for me, intermittent fasting has helped me curb some sugar cravings, get summer ready, if you know what I mean. And overall, I'm actually much more alert and focused at work. You're welcome, boss. And when team of teams, when they adopt shared operating rhythms like stand-ups if you practice agile, or weekly status updates if you follow the loop, which is our homegrown project communication framework, they end up building trust among individuals. Just like you're building trust with your body that you're not going to starve it when you start your intermittent fasting habit. And you've heard from thought leaders like Adam Grant and Malcolm Gladwell, they all say that trust building across teams is going to improve your outcomes because you're including more perspectives, you're creating a culture of fast feedback loops, and ultimately you're fostering this culture of innovation where the best ideas rise to the top, not the loudest voices. So whereas the current broken world of team-to-team comms, team A sends out an update via email on Friday, then team B gets asked for an update from their common stakeholder and scrambles to write one, and then team C's manager is like on vacation, so they end up looking like they don't know what they're doing. You can see here on the right, you get these shared operating rhythms, and it's no longer the case because there's this consistent, predictable cadence and format of updates that's shared across teams. So like the manager on team C doesn't look bad just because they went out on vacation. It's just like building a habit for yourself. If you invest in the process, you're going to see the results. And Sherif's about to tell you how you can invest in the process. And it's actually going to be way easier than it was for me to learn how to intermittent fast. So you could just go to our website, follow some shared operating rhythms, all great. But it's kind of more fun with a cool new tool, right? And honestly, it's going to be easier, I promise. I could have really used a tool like Team Central to help me with my intermittent fasting journey. I just had a book in pure grit and it wasn't pretty. So we don't want to leave you hanging. Don't do it my way, do it Sherif's way and productize it. So I'm super excited to pass it over to Sherif. He's gonna walk you through our amazing new tool and give you some pro tips that we've never shared before. Sherif?
Thank you, Mary, and thanks everyone for joining us today as well. As Mary said, we're going to jump straight into the demo, and Mary and I and the team have had a lot of fun building this, so you'll have to excuse me if I get a little bit excited in some areas. Before I jump in and share my screen and give you a look at what it looks like, I wanted to reiterate Mary's point about shared rhythms and habits. This is so key to the success of effective communication between your teams. And Team Central is has these built-in operating rhythms into the product. So for project status updates, we have a weekly rhythm. For goal status updates, we have a monthly rhythm. And how do they work? They're really simple. At the end of each week, every Friday, project owners are sent a reminder. So no more what Mary had to do, and she was telling you her past life. No more program managers, project managers hassling them for please fill out your updates. They get automatic update reminders to do their updates on Friday in their time zone. And on the Monday, everyone across your organization gets the same newspaper view of the projects they're interested in that they have followed. The same thing with projects, the last week of every month and the first week of the second month is how the rhythms work. So let me jump into the demo and show you these rhythms in action. I'll just share my screen over here. So what you're seeing here is the Team Central homepage. And it starts with your project updates. And the cadence of the navigation is in weeks. So I can go through, see last week's, the previous week's updates, next week's updates, and so on and so forth, back and forth. The idea here is we're trying to build this weekly routine and this weekly habit that Mary talked about that is essential to automating, if you like, effective communication in your organization. Now, I'll dive into this view you're seeing here, which is the view that you get for all the projects that you're following across the company. No more me having to scroll through a spreadsheet and finding row number 157. That's the project I care about. I only subscribe to the projects I care about, and so does Mary, and so does your boss or your dependent team. They only follow what they're interested in. So the relevance here is very high. Up the top of the feed here, I forgot to call out, you'll get this in your email, in your Slack, in your MS Teams, or I'm showing you the in-product version of it here as well. What you're getting here at the top is a summary of all the projects for that week. So I have 41 projects, 32 are on track, how many are at risk, off track, etc. And we'll show you the change. As you recall, with these weekly weather reports or these spreadsheets or these giant tables, it's actually super hard to know, wait, what changed last week? Was this red last week, or was it green last week? And where should I draw my attention? Like there's no new off-track projects this week. Okay, that's good. And I can click down and filter through some of these. So for example, if I wanted to go and celebrate, I can click here and get some lovely confetti, give some confetti to the teams. I can see what's completed last week and filter through all of the updates here. Now, as you scroll through, I see all the updates and I can comment as a dependent team or a stakeholder, ask questions, react, read some more detail, see some of their demos, examples, videos. You can embed rich media, photos. And the idea here is trying to make this communication more engaging, no more spreadsheets, and more fun. Oh, speaking of engaging, I see Mary's team had some fun. Where was my invite, Mary? I never got one.
Yeah, we intentionally didn't invite you. Finn, my dog, got your invite because his hair is better.
Well, you could have said the COVID air travel thing would have been a much more politer excuse, but I'll take that one for now. But as you can see, teams do have fun sharing and opening up themselves to the rest of the organization so that we can build this mutual trust and provide psychological safety for everyone. Show charts of usage, engagement, all that kind of stuff. So status updates is, I would say, about 275% more engaging than they were in your spreadsheet. Don't quote me on the accuracy of that number. On your right-hand side here, you'll see the projects that I am part of, that I own, and I'll talk about that in a sec. But across the organization, I now get new projects that I might be interested in. And so this is where work outside my team often impacts my team. I may have a dependent team, a project in my department, a project contributing to the same goal I am that might impact, and I can learn more and discover about this. Think of all the meeting hours I have saved doing this, if you're doing it asynchronously, or if you are still having those meetings, it certainly makes those meetings way more effective. Now, the same thing I showed you for projects happens for goals. We're operating in a monthly rhythm here, and I can see how the goals went each week. And this isn't just for technical teams. A simple example here, Logan here from our talent recruitment team, they're trying to improve the candidate experience when new applicants apply at Atlassian. They're using it to track their goals. They link to Confluence pages and Jira Confluence pages. They don't use Jira actually, which shows you every team can do whatever they want. They track their work in Trello, and that's totally fine. And so the same thing with projects and goals. Now, let me take you through a deep dive of the project experience. So I'll go to one of my projects here. You may have heard of this project, it's called Team Central. The importance of aligning on shared vocabulary across the organization, not shared tooling. And this is, Mary said this, and I'll say it again. We've tried to solve this by saying, hey, everyone, get on Jira, hey, everyone, get on this system. And our customers do this as well. We realize the more effective way is to empower teams to choose the tool of their choice and align on common vocabulary across the organization. What is this common vocabulary? So in a project, we ask some simple questions. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? And what does success look like? And this is for dependent teams or stakeholders so they can get context on your project and build that shared understanding. Now, as a project owner, I can go and add media, pictures, describe it a bit more, link to Confluence or Jira, embed content, embed videos to make these engaging and also to better describe my context. The About tab is really, think of it as your project brief. That's your project brief. Now, the Updates tab is your weekly updates. Now, I'll get to that in a sec, but let me walk you through the rest of the project. As an outsider or someone who's maybe not part of this project, I can follow it or unfollow it if I'm interested in it. I can see also how many people are following. So I can see if the big boss is following. I can see what other parties are interested. I can see the dependent teams who have a dependency on me, on my project. Are they following it or not? I can encourage them to follow it. For project stakeholders, they're often asking, wait, this project's on track or it's at risk. Wait, how many people are working on it? Again, there's so many projects I see every day. We show you who's contributing to it and who the primary owner is. Any related goals across the organization they contribute to, we can also link projects to goals, and I'll talk about goals in a second. And obviously, to get a broader picture, we can highlight the dependencies or related projects between each other. Now, this is your project homepage, so you can send people to your related links and group and organize them and categorize them in any way you like with labels, whether it be a department, an initiative, a program, anything you like, you can do it that way. I'll talk about the target date in a sec, because that's one of my favorite topics. Now, when you send a project stakeholder or dependent team to your project, they're sent to this context tab to learn about your project brief. Once they start following it, they then are defaulted to the updates tab. And we think that's an important thing to do, is align people on what you're doing and why you're doing it before they start getting the updates. Now, what you'll see in the updates tab is this project history up the top here. This gives you a brief overview of when how the project's been going historically, when new people were added, or even when dates were changed. You'll see them annotated throughout this timeline over time. And this is super helpful for someone who's outside your team who can come in and say, wait, we added 4 people. Did that help you get back on track? Did it, all that kind of stuff. And they can also see how things have come to be. You can see here each of my updates for my week. I'm using linking for detail here, expands and putting in my demos of GIFs or videos or all that kind of stuff into the product. You can embed videos and looms. Say, look, Mary, another video view. This is a setup, I think, but all that kind of stuff here. So those are the updates. Now, each Friday, I am the project owner. So I get a Slack or MS Teams or email reminder to do my updates. So I even get here my updates due tomorrow. It's Thursday here in Sydney. So I'll click here and do my updates and go through that experience with you. Now, the first thing we ask the team to do each week is reaffirm their status, their red, yellow, green, how are they doing, and their date. You're like, wait, what? We ask them to reaffirm their date. I'm sure you've all heard of the phrase, a watermelon project, green on the outside, red on the inside. They're all going good, they're all going good, they're all going good. And then a week before they're due, they add another 6 months to their project timeline. And you're like, wait, what? It's not really their fault. When you think about it, we have failed to create an environment and tools to encourage frequent and regular date changes. Mary talked about the Loop framework, which is a project communications framework, and we've tried to bake in that framework into this tool. One of the principles of that framework is change your date early and change it often. And there should be no shame in that. We should celebrate date changes, because if I can say, hey, I think I'm going to run late, dependent team B that's waiting on us can readjust accordingly. And so the system works if we provide that psychological safety for everyone to share their updates. Now, you may be saying, Sherif, that's a funny date to deliver a project, October to December. What? Are you like, I don't know if you, is the phrase sandbagging American?
I think so. Is it like a baseball term? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. So like, sandbagging is like, are you just trying to like, set the bar low and then you can look good in front of your stakeholders? Well, yes, that is a pro tip you should definitely do with all your stakeholders. But this is where we're trying to build in that psychological safety and communicate. Really, confidence is the most important thing we should be communicating, not the exact date. So as we've just kicked off this project, my confidence is fairly low. Now, as Mary said, I can spend months of my time planning and doing estimation. I don't know about you guys, it never works. We've been doing that for decades. Instead of spending that time over planning, I'm going to spend that time communicating. So I have a lot of confidence at the start of the project, so I'm going to pick a quarter. As I get closer and my team builds confidence in the outcome we're trying to reach, I can switch to month. Or maybe we're getting very close and marketing has a launch event due or something like that. I can get a precise day. And you might swing back and forth between these dates, because unknowns come up and you learn more about them and you adapt and you change. We're trying to build organizational agility into the tool and create these habits to help you quickly correct paths as quickly as possible. So I do that and I start writing my update. Now, as I write my update, you probably notice down here, there is what seems to be a character limit. So I'll just copy and paste this a few times so you can see it a bit more. And there's a character limit here. Why is that? Well, we ask teams to start with the summary, not with the detail. So start with the executive summary and let's try fitting it in a tweet. You've heard about, we talked about earlier, those project status reports with 30 risks listed and 40 key issues, and no one reads that. No one reads that. And we feel great creating these reports because they're so detailed. But at the end of the day, what is the most important thing you want your dependent teams or stakeholders to know? And so we encourage people to write that. And so when I hit the limit, you'll see in a sec, I've gone over my limit by 11 characters. Now, I can still share stuff for detail and attach it here in a more detailed section. And I can put as much content as I like here. So it doesn't matter how long this is, I can put more detail here. And what we hope to do over time is provide the status update creator or the project owner insights and data into, are people reading their detail? Are people reading their summary? The last thing we want to do in this tool is create another place for you to update status. In fact, Mary and I were saying, we should consider this a success if teams decide we're not going to communicate status because no one's following our project. That's awesome. Like, we're saving you time and saving the company time. That's a great outcome. Now, in these updates, you can put emoji, you can put media, you can link for detail. If you're an Atlassian customer, linking works across all our products, Confluence and Jira in particular, and we'll be adding more products over time. If you, to reassure you who's going to get notified, we tell you who's going to get notified of this project update. So now we're kind of closing the loop. No more project owner fills out a spreadsheet and never hears back from it ever again. And to give you some tips and examples for how best to write your updates, there's some good tips here on how to write regularly and how to keep it succinct and all that kind of stuff. And I can post my update here, and the team gets, and on the Monday, if Mary's following my project, she'll get that in her weekly updates feed. So that's it for projects. Let's jump onto goals. Actually, let me show you another example of a project just to give you another feel. Here's another project here that I'm working on. I want to reiterate the shared vocabulary, and to help with shared vocabulary, you can be as expressive as you like. Put media. So here we've got a vision of our North Star for this project. Put tables to make it easier to comprehend large sets of data. Link for detail, all that kind of stuff. This is really your project brief in your project homepage, which you'll find people send across the organization. If you're interested in following on, here's my link. This ends up being your landing page.
Okay, Sherif, now you're just showing off. Like, this is the best project brief I've seen, so we get it. You're good at project brief.
This totally wasn't set up, no, but it is a lot of fun, and people do enjoy creating these because they end up just being more, there is some pride in communicating out with your team as well. So that's a lot of fun. So that was projects. Let's talk about goals. And so goals, what about the rhythm for goals? That's monthly, and projects can be linked to goals for detail. Now, why do we do goals here? when you think about it, the further out you are from an organization, the harder it is to follow granular projects. So let's just say Mary and I's manager. So like 3 levels out. They don't know what project switcheroo is. It's so detailed. And the level of granularity of information for them needs to contextually change as they zoom out, if you like, to use a map analogy, to be something that's more relevant for them. So for them, we can let them follow a goal. Instead of following 50 projects, they could follow 1 goal. Now, projects can be linked to goals and goals can be linked to projects. So you can slice and dice the information any way you like. And with goals, again, same thing. There is a goal brief and you write about the goal and all the kind of details. You link to related projects. So you can see, oh, how many projects are completed for this goal, how many are on track or off track, and you can nest them as much as you like. So if you are using the objectives and key results framework, or OKRs, you can model OKRs right here in Team Central. Your parent goal is your objective and your child goals are your key results. If you're not and using SMART goals, or you just wanted to set a basic goal and you're not really there yet in terms of goal maturity in your organization, you can do that too. Think of it as an effective lens to communicate an outcome to a set of projects, and really handy to align people towards your North Star, the customer impact you're trying to change, and keep those stakeholders following at a level that makes sense for them. So they'll get monthly goal updates instead of weekly project updates, and both will color each other in. And you can dive deep for detail, click here and learn more about the updates and comment and ask questions and all that kind of stuff. And again, that you can use goals without using projects. Here's an example of our recruitment team using it again for candidate interview experience. You're using an OKR method of scoring here in our goals feature. They're not using any projects. They're starting off simple. They're starting with goals. We find most teams start with projects, then ladder to goals, but it doesn't really matter. Jess and her team track their work in other tools, such as Trello or spreadsheets, and that's totally fine. They're using this tool to communicate out across the organization and align. So this is another example there. Now, you've got projects which are very granular. You've got goals that help you group your projects. And what happens when you need to group them even further? Well, the other thing we've done in Team Central is that you can group things by label, and labels can be a great way for an initiative, a program, a department, any way you like. So here's an example. When I click through a label, I can zoom out even further and follow a collection of projects and goals in one place. And I get an activity feed for everything to do with that label, projects and goals. I can see the aggregate red, yellow, green across all of them. And because each week we're asking teams to come in and update their dates, we automatically draw a timeline for you so you can quickly stay updated with what's coming up soon and what's due soon. And a problem we hear all the time is communication is really helpful as an input into planning. And we see Team Central as a communication tool. So we're trying to say, how can we make communication answer those questions so that you can take them into your planning cycles? One of those questions is, who's working on what and which projects are taking up the most resources? No, let's say people. I don't like resources. Let's say people, it's better. And how can I plan accordingly? And here's an example where across a program, I can see where people are allocated, what percentage, 11% of this program are on this particular project here. And I can see how many people are working on it and how many people are on track, off track, etc. So you've got these different views of communication, whether it be a project, a goal, a label, which could represent a department or a team, and all that. Now, the beauty about all of this is you start pulling it together and we can start to give you insights for what people and teams are doing across your organization. So in Team Central, there's a Teams tab where you can create a team that you're working on, and you can say, my team's working on these projects or on these goals. We're trying to encourage teams to communicate out, or look up people that you work with regularly or people you're about to meet. So let's pretend I didn't know Mary and I want to stalk her before the meeting. So I have some context on what she works on. I can view her profile. I can see her recent activity, but I can see what she's currently working on, her goals and her objectives and her projects. So I can have a shared vocabulary with her, knowing what she's trying to achieve and how I can help contribute to her. I can also see what she's interested in. So she's following these other projects. And I can see, if you like, her trophy cabinet, the projects she's recently completed. Mary, congratulations. Some nice stuff there. And I can see.
Expect my gift is in the mail.
That's right. Mary's boss, are you watching this? But he probably is because he's following your Project Central ticket. There you go. Your Team Central ticket, sorry. You can see the places they work and who they work with. So you get this holistic picture, not only for Mary herself, but for the teams that she's in. You can also go see their projects and their goals. Now, let me finish off by just zooming out a level further. We talked about Team Central being a tool that we created based on the Loop framework to help teams communicate more effectively across the organization. And today I showed you how we're doing this with projects and goals. And we have a broader vision of helping teams do this across any kind of work that they work on, not just projects and goals. And we'll talk about that soon. But how do we know that we're actually making progress in this mission? How do we know that we're helping you as an organization be more effective? We have an insights feature that we're working on right now. And at the moment, it's across your whole organization. We were looking to slice and dice this report by department, by team, by initiative, and that kind of stuff. And across your organization, we'll tell you how many people are running projects, how many people are following projects, what's your aggregate red, yellow, green across all of them. And the questions we want to help you answer is, are we building those healthy habits? Are teams communicating frequently, right? The secret to any healthy relationship is open and transparent communication. Are our teams doing it here? Each week, we'll give you a breakdown of how many new projects were created, how many projects might be a bit unwell. So we've only heard from them once in the last couple of weeks. How many projects are healthy? We hear from them every week. And how many have just gone quiet? And so then you can hover over these, see the detail, and go in and dive deep for detail, prod the teams that are relevant to your department, ask questions, help them out, and see what's going on here. So hopefully we're helping you build that rhythm. But the second thing is, are we making sure that we're not wasting your time? And so we're trying to answer the question, is anybody listening more effective? Are we helping you be effective with your communication? If I communicate once and there's 1,000 followers, that is a very effective communication. If I'm having lots of meetings with different stakeholders to communicate the same project status 5 times, that is a very ineffective way of communicating. So how effective are you? We try to give you a chart of how many projects do you have followers outside your team. Not your team, but outside your team. And we break that down for you so you can go in and view some more detail and see which project is doing what and all that kind of stuff. So I hope that gives you a big picture as to Team Central being a communication tool to help you and your team communicate across your organization more effectively, whether it be with projects or goals that we have today. And we've got a whole lot more to come. How was that, Mary?
Sherif, you missed one big thing. How do people get this?
Oh,
Can you pull up our Team Central site on Atlassian.com and show off what we've been working on?
Yeah, that's right. So if you go to Atlassian.com, there is a link all the way there to Team Central. I'll pull it up here. And you can sign up today. If you're a Jira or Confluence Cloud customer, it is available to you immediately. Team Central is free at the moment and will continue to be free. We'll have a free tier and we'll probably have a paid tier towards the end of the calendar year. But everything you have today is available for free and will remain for free. You can go and have a look at it there. Learn more about it here, share it with your team and all that kind of stuff. If you'd like to see a sample report, where's that sample report link? I keep missing it, Mary. It is up here.
Yeah, it's up over the top. Keep
somewhere.
Going up. One up, right, some sample digest, yeah.
Yes, so if you want to see what these weekly reports look like, send it to your manager, get a feel of what this thing is, sign up there. As I mentioned, if you're Jira Confluence Cloud customer, you can use it now and attach it to your site. If you're not, we have a wait list and it will be available to all customers, all people regardless of Jira Confluence, very, very shortly. And don't forget, we talked about the loop. Are you going to be talking about the loop a bit more, Mary?
No, this is it. We have so much good content on this site. I figured we'd just talk about the why in this and then check out this site. Everything we talked about, like building healthy habits, we codified that into instructions. So if you're a fan of Atlassian Team Playbook or even a fan of like Agile, check out the loop. You can click through right here and you'll get like proven practices that teams at ePilot, Canva, and Atlassian are using to help improve their communication and build that shared operating rhythm, not just within their team, but across teams.
Now, Mary, me and you have talked about this a lot. We see success for us is that you guys are changing your behaviors. And It doesn't matter if you're using Team Central or not. Check out the Loop, because the Loop is really a set of practices, methodology, content, ways to think about working and improving in your team. And you don't need Team Central for it. So you can go ahead and get started on that. And if you want to automate that and start to scale it across your organization, we'd love to hear from you as you sign up and play around with Team Central as well.